Yo, greetings everyone, and welcome to an interim video between my first season and my second season of hopefully what's to come and any improvements that I can hopefully make that'll get more people watching and get more people on the train. In this particular video, I'm going to be going over the top, I want to say 10, but I don't even know how many videos I made, but I'm going to be going over all of my favorite videos of my favorite games in order from everything I reviewed in the first season. So I'm not going to get too much into it, but if you've been paying attention, you already know what's going to be number one, but don't let that stop you from watching anyway. Anyway, without further ado, let's get started. Heading up the number 11 spot on our list is Cyberpunk 2077. For most people who've played this game, I don't think this comes as much of a surprise. So after some patches happened, this game ended up being actually playable, and is far from the unplayable mess it released in. At the same time though, I kinda couldn't wait for the game to be over and end when I was playing through it, and I wasn't really motivated to give it another go when I finished up. The breach protocol was boring and frequent. Also, the aesthetic got real old real fast. You could tell that CDPR did the best they could with the time constraints they were given, and it shows in spots. The lucky bastards even got to work with Keanu Reeves, so this game got out the door with all the bugs and glitches that it got, but it gets a bad rap, and it's not as bad as people think it is. All in all, this isn't a super terrible game at this point, but is simply the least favorite of my Season 1 games. The number 10 spot goes to Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the game. It's not that I hate this game, it's actually very charming as a matter of fact, so it only comes in at number 10 due to the stiff competition it faces. If you didn't see my actual video on this game, or just don't remember, I'll refresh you on a few things. So you stay down for way too long, you can hit yourself and teammates with your own projectiles, and there is a distinct lack of superpowers and awesome things to do other than just punch and kick people. And the whole cast seems tailor-made to only fight one guy at a time in a game where you are always outnumbered. Just seems a little poorly thought out. And I actually wish there was more content and an expanded story mode in this game, if that was even possible, but, you know, it is what it is. Great soundtrack, though. Now, you know I have a high opinion of most of the games on this list if Resident Evil Village is coming in at only number 9. I know I'm probably beating a dead horse with a stick here, but it's just that I have a better opinion of the games that made it ahead of this one. I don't have a lot of really negative things to say here like the other two games that came before it. I actually straight up like this game, and it really only loses out to the other games on the list for just two reasons. First, the Donna Beneviento area. I sincerely don't like not having any of Ethan's guns and stuff. And second, this isn't a super replayable game to me. Even with the extra content shop and the survival mode that they threw in, it's really coming in at number 9 just because of those things, not because it's bad. So Kingdom Hearts 3 underwhelmed me in a lot of ways, mainly because it failed to live up to my expectations after Kingdom Hearts 2. I have Dream Drop Distance for the 3DS, and it legitimately has about as much content and playability as this one. That's not good. That being said, it is by no means a bad game, and it doesn't mark it as that. It's just a disappointing one. It still has a lot to collect, and a worthwhile gameplay and progression loop, not to mention a beautiful, albeit empty-feeling game world. It was even fun enough that it convinced me to jump back in with another playthrough of my own volition. And that is the minimum required to grab the number 8 spot on this list. Number 7 goes to The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. And you know, it's probably due to the fact that it shares almost all of the same qualities to me as Kingdom Hearts 3, except I log more hours into The Witcher. Probably because it has a lot more side missions and fun things to do outside of the main story, unlike Kingdom Hearts 3. That's the main difference right there. I will say that the new Game Plus is better in Kingdom Hearts 3 though, because you do have to restart, but you get to keep all your Keyblades, where The Witcher scales even the most basic enemy up past where Geralt is by the end of the story. So I understand the scaling, but not that much, good lord. It defeats the purpose of a new game plus altogether. You might as well start a regular new game for that, so I kind of fell off by that point. Now this is an odd one, because despite holding only the number 6 spot on this list, I actually logged more hours in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 than most of the games on the list. It put a unique twist on all the classic moves you've come to know and love over the years since like Dragon Ball Budokai 1 for the PS2, maybe even sooner. Most of these moves were simply energy beams or energy balls that have a hitbox attached to them. That's it. But now these moves work in all kinds of different ways, and you can mix and match them onto a custom CAC with all sorts of fighting-based missions to put them to work in. It's no wonder I poured a lot of time into this game. The DLC I purchased would sometimes say I didn't and then unequip all the stuff that I had on for no reason, and I had to go in and re-equip everything, which ultimately stopped me from picking it back up, but it's still a good game. Number 5 proudly goes to Horizon Zero Dawn. So now we're in the top 5, and Horizon certainly deserves it at this point, at the very least. The game looks great, it plays great, and it has very little to complain about. I personally didn't even experience any bugs in the game while I was playing it, at least not ones that I can recall, which is an impressive amount of polish for a game that's so technically complex. This game is pretty much the ideal result if someone was trying to make an open world game. And here's to hoping the sequel ends up living up to the lofty heights that this game reached and set up for it. Cheers. The number 4 spot was really a toss-up for me, but I ended up going with Bayonetta 2 here. The further up this list I go, the less and less I have to complain about. The games up towards the top of this list are games that have a great combination of polish, visual flair, great gameplay, and some level of replayability. Either because there's a lot to do, or the general gameplay is just so damn fun. Bayo 2 falls into that camp to be sure, and it has an incredibly fun and polished gameplay loop that still keeps me occasionally coming back. It's very, very akin to Devil May Cry, which Hideki Kamiya originally pioneered. Speaking of DMC though, Devil May Cry 5, the other half of the coin flip that was the number 3 and number 4 spots. I think since this game is just as fun, engaging, and addictive as Bayonetta 2, but has the added benefit of childhood nostalgia due to being so much older, plus a better overall story in my opinion, this gets to edge out Bayo for the number 3 spot. It's sad though, because if I can give them the same spot, I would genuinely do that. It may not be the number 1 most replayable game in the world, but it does embody the spirit of video games. It has a strong single-player experience that doesn't overstay its welcome, it looks great and plays great, and the number 1 thing a video game should never forget to include is a boatload of fun, and this has that in spades. The number 2 spot goes to Dark Souls 3. And it hurts me to put this here, considering I legitimately think that some games that I put behind this are probably better. But I cannot deny how many characters I've made, builds I've put together, and above all else, the sheer amount of hours I burned into this game. I probably sunk about the same amount of time into this game as I did Skyrim, and I know you all don't know how much that is, but that is definitely saying something. A child can grow old with the amount of time I sank into this. I mean, I was a young boy when I started this journey, and now here I am, old and grizzled. It's very, very punishing, but strangely addicting, and made several quality of life improvements that send Dark Souls 1 and 2 back to clown college. And by process of elimination, you already know what it is. Please come up to the stage to accept your reward, Mr. Super Smash Brothers Ultimate! Since I was a child playing N64 in the 90s, I thought that the concept of the original Smash Brothers was the coolest thing I have ever had on my screen. I was the only one of my friends who played Super Metroid before Smash, and therefore I've heard of Samus Aran. They haven't. Fast forward almost 25 years, and here I am, still plugging away at the latest installment, which happens to be the most balanced of any Smash game that came before. It's my favorite game that ate up the most amount of my life across all of its entries, more than any other video game or video game series, and it takes its rightful place at number 1. Boy, Season 1 sure was something, huh? Had its highs, had its lows, had it starting with the Smash Bros. Ultimate video that, in hindsight, probably shouldn't have started on due to the low quality and me having a crappy laptop and then me upgrading to a better PC and then things just getting better from there. But that being said, it was a good journey. Didn't get a ton of numbers and a ton of views. That fabled YouTube algorithm will get you every time. But who knows? It's up to you guys. If you guys decide to like, subscribe, and more importantly, tell a friend, hey, this guy's pretty good. I don't even understand how he's just not more popular than he is. That's amazing. That's something else, isn't it? Yeah, well, you should watch it because I like his stuff. Do that for me. It'd be nice. Anyway, that being said, this has been my top 11, was it? And I hope you guys enjoyed it. Go down in the comments below. Let me know what your favorite game is out of this list. Or give me your top 11 if you have one that's a different order than mine. That being said, you guys have a good one. I look forward to seeing you guys at the beginning of the next season. And I'd like to thank you for staying so sexy on the line. You guys have a good one.